channel. If you're new to my channel, my name is Mary, and today's video is going to be one of the most exciting videos on this channel. Today I'm going to share with you the birth story of our second baby girl. We named her Charlene, and you guys know how much we were waiting for her, how much we prayed for her, and how hard the pregnancy was. I was scared throughout the whole pregnancy, but now when she's here, I'm like relieved. I feel so happy and blessed, and I'm so grateful to God to give us this wonderful baby girl. Right now she's sleeping in the living room with my husband, and actually this is the second time of me filming this video. I filmed the birth story like a week ago, and then when I was editing it, and I had her on my arms during the whole video. So when I was editing that video, I just noticed that I was speaking so carefully not to be loud and wake her up. So I decided to delete that video and film it again. So today's video is going to be our birth story. You guys, Charlene was born on 30th of September. It was my 39th week of pregnancy, and if you watched my past two other pregnancy updates, like 37th week and 38th week, you basically guys know that my labor started on the 37th week when the contraction started. Charlene turned head down, which made us so happy because then we could have gone into a natural birth, but then she turned again bridge in the 38th week, and I was in so much pain. I was already done. We scheduled another C-section on the 6th of October, and we never made it to that day. And I knew actually in my heart that I'm not gonna make it because I was done. I was so tired. So on the 29th of September, I had my appointment at my doctor, at my orthodontist's office, and I was feeling okay. And it was the first time throughout 2 weeks when I left the house. So I was in my orthodontist office, laying on that chair, and she tried to do some job, or like to change the wires and stuff on my braces. And that's when I started feeling dizzy. So we had to interrupt the procedure multiple times so I could get up and go to the window and breathe a little bit air. I did not feel fine. I was very dizzy. All the pictures were swimming in front of my eyes, and then we saw that I couldn't go through with the procedure, so I asked her to stop it. So I went to the reception to get another appointment for me, but after I give birth. So at that moment when I was getting the appointment, everything started getting dark in front of my eyes, and the next thing I remember, nurses grabbing my arms, someone pushing a chair under me, and I was like, what's going on? And I saw a phone laying on the floor. I didn't get what was that, and they told me that I fainted, basically, which I really didn't get, but they were quick enough, and thanks God they were quick enough, so I didn't really fall on the ground. Otherwise I would hurt the baby probably, or hurt myself. Anyways, when I was in the reception, I fainted 3 other times, and they had to call an emergency to take me. We also called my husband to come and pick me up because I obviously could not go home alone. He came. While he was coming, I fainted these other 2 times, and the emergency came. First, in the beginning, they were like, maybe you're dehydrated, and that's why you are just fainting. They checked on my blood pressure, my sugar level, stuff like that, but I couldn't see sharply still, especially with my right eye. I couldn't see anything, and I didn't have really good reflexes. That made them worry a little bit or be concerned, so they took me to ER to run other tests, which I really don't remember what they were running because I was really not there. I was so I had a feeling my soul left my body. I felt like that. I couldn't be myself at all. So they were checking all the time. Different doctors were coming, asking me different questions. Neurologist came and started doing these reflex tests on me to see if I am fine. But somehow it felt so strange, and I was so overly exhausted already. I just wanted to sleep. But actually they didn't find anything that would concern them. They just let me lay there till 6 o'clock in the afternoon. They turned an infusion on, IV on, so I will get a little bit nutrition and hydration, and I think they gave me iron as well. And then in the evening around 6 o'clock they let me go home. When I came home, I started crying and telling my husband that I'm so done with this pregnancy. I have no power anymore. I could not walk, I could not sit, I could not sleep during the night. Everything hurt so bad. And like, it was the first time probably during this pregnancy when I really cried. But I don't know, I was done and I was sorry. I was like, I'm not gonna make another week till the C-section anymore because I am overly exhausted. So when we went to bed that night at 2 o'clock in the morning, I felt like something like this. And I was like, okay, this was strange. I think my water just broke, even though there was nothing in the bed, thanks God. I decided to get up and go to toilet and see if this was something or not. And I just noticed that the water was leaking out. I knew already that the water broke. And the thing was that I took shower in the evening before going to bed, but I didn't wash my hair that evening, and I was like, oh my God, if this is really my water, I have to wash my hair, because I knew I'm gonna go through C-section because the baby was still breech. So I woke my husband up, I told him to call his mom, and I was like, I have to wash my hair. And he was like, no, you can't, you have to lay down. The doctors told you that you have to lay down, or not let the water come out completely, because it would make me to go into early labor. Or Charlene was measuring really small. Her head was bigger than her belly, which meant she could get stuck up with her head if she went through a birth channel. So I had to lay. But I was so stubborn, I still washed my hair. I washed my hair, dried it very quickly. I have like 3 hairs on my head, like it's not a problem to wash it. And then I called the emergency here and told them to come and pick me up. This was what my doctors told me, that they prefer me to come with an emergency, with the ambulance, not with the ambulance, and not with my husband, because I had to go there laying down. I wasn't allowed to sit in the car. I had to lay down. So we called the ambulance. They came in like 5 minutes, because we live like really next to the hospital. And they were like, are you sure your water broke? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that the water broke. And the moment when I stood up to go to the car, I had like a water gushing out of me. It was so much water, you guys. I really, it was like too much. I didn't even have that with Audrey, because Audrey came in the 42nd week of my pregnancy and she was induced. I didn't have probably that much water anymore. But this time it was a lot. So they were like, okay, we see that your water broke and we have an experience with pregnant women going into labor. So they took me to the triage in my hospital. And the Hebama there, like the nurse, was also a little bit skeptical, because it was my 39th week. She was like, are you sure? And I'm like, I am sure. Should I get up here? And she was like, okay, you have to go to the toilet now. When I stood up again, all floor was covered in water. Like, it was so much. I was completely wet, till my shoes and socks, everything. And she helped me to clean up. She gave me this surgery gown to wear, and turned on an IV. Like, they had to give me penicillin, antibiotics before taking me to the C-section. And another doctor came to make an ultrasound, because basically before taking you to C-section they have to check if the baby's position is still for a C-section, or maybe the baby turned again. So they always double check and triple check before they put you into surgery. And the doctor saw that the baby was still breech. They were measuring the baby on the ultrasound, 2,800 grams, which was a normal weight for a baby. And yes, while he was doing his ultrasound and I was getting my antibiotics, my husband came, brought my hospital bag, everything, and they gave him a a gown to wear for the surgery room, because in Germany the husband is allowed to be in the surgery room with you to get this first glimpse of the baby and hear the first scream and hold the baby. Basically, he had to hold the baby. I was allowed to hold her. Well, I didn't get to hold her, but normally I would have been allowed to hold her just for a short moment before the doctor started to stitch the tear. Um, but everything turned out to be a lot different than we expected. So when he was dressed up, I was ready with this all infusions and stuff. They took me to the surgery room and did an epidural from my spine. I kind of remembered it being before, like I had an epidural before when I was with Audrey. I was delivering Audrey, and I kind of remembered it being painful, but this time it wasn't painful at all. I just felt a little bit pressure, and that was it. So I laid down on this surgery table, and one of the nurses had like a very cold crystal ball with which she checked if the epidural kicked already. So on the upper part of my body, I was completely aware of the ice ball, and the only part that I didn't feel this cold were my thighs, but still on my belly, I could feel a little bit cold. So I told them that it didn't kick yet, and they waited a little bit longer and a little bit longer, and I still could feel this cold crystal ball on my belly. So they invited my husband in. He sat next to me. They covered up everything so I wouldn't see the surgery itself. So basically what they do in Germany for the C-section, they make a small cut, like 5 centimeter cut on your belly, and the rest of the tissue they tear with hands. Like they really tear you apart, your belly apart, all the muscles, all the nerves, and that way this scar heals easier. Like the recovery is a lot easier, quicker, and relatively painless as if they would cut you completely with a scalpel. So this is how it's done in Germany, and as I told you guys, I still had a feeling around my belly which the doctors did not like ignored when I told them. And then I told to the nurse, I was like, did you just cut me? And she was like, why, did you feel something? And I was like, yes, I did feel something sharp cutting through my belly. And then the next thing I remember, they started pushing and pulling me. Probably they were trying to tear this whole tissues apart. And then my husband was there, and I started choking. I could not breathe anymore because like this pulling was so much. I had a feeling someone is pulling my lungs out and my heart out, and then I started like choking and saying that I can't breathe anymore. So what they had to do, they had to put me under a full anesthesia because really it wasn't looking good. So they invited my husband out. It was just like seconds, you guys. It went so quick, but it was so unexpected and scary for me. I didn't know what was going on because I really watched so many videos about C-section, but I did not really saw someone or hear someone talking about this choking feeling or like pulling the lungs out feeling. It was unexpected for me. So they put me under a full anesthesia, and when I woke up, everything was already pretty much done. So I skipped the first scream of my baby, I skipped the first glimpse of my baby, I skipped basically everything. And when I opened my eyes, I couldn't really see sharply. I remember I just asked like my husband. I just sensed that he was somewhere there. I could just feel like the room. I could see a little bit, of course, as well, and hear my husband's voice. And I just asked him if Charlene was doing fine, and he was like, yes, she's completely healthy, she's doing fine. And she came to this world weighing 2,495 grams. At that moment, my husband told me she's only 2,400 grams, which made me panic because I did not expect her to be that tiny. And then I remember the doctors giving me like a bundle of something to me, like really a ball. So basically what they did, I was away, like of course I was sleeping and getting my stitches while they were checking on the baby, and they measured her. She was doing perfectly fine. She was just tiny and badly bruised. my husband was like, Mary, don't get scared, she is really, really bruised. And I was like, why would she get bruised during the C-section? What happened? And then the doctors came in and started apologizing to me. They told me during the C-section what happened, the baby turned again. So she turned transverse, which means her head was on my right side, her tush was on my left side. So they had to really go inside me and try to get her out of me. And yeah, which made the tear a little bit bigger than they planned it to be, and they bruised the baby. But as they told me, they had to do whatever it took them to get the baby out healthy, and for me not to lose a lot of blood, and for me, of course, to be done with the surgery as quickly as possible. They did just whatever they had to do, whatever was in their hands. I'm not offended or sad or mad about that. I know it was their job. They did their best, but the baby was really badly bruised. So they gave me the baby. They wrapped her in everything they found there because they didn't expect her to be that tiny as well. As I told you, they measured her around 2,800 grams and she came like 2,400 grams. So they wrapped her up in my cardigan. I will just leave the pictures here. They're not as clear and good, but I hope it will still give you something. We weren't able to film anything just because everything went so quickly and unexpected. Like we couldn't film anything, and I hope that's okay. So they gave her to me. I put her on my breast, and she really latched on like from the first second, and I could breastfeed her. The worst thing was, you guys, after the full anesthesia, I couldn't see sharply. I could not see her face really. I remember just glimpse of her face, glimpse of her eyes, glimpse of her fingers. I did not see her feet. I did not see her body. I did not see anything. And when she was done with breastfeeding, they took me to, not to the postpartum section or postpartum station, but to a newborn station, newborn clinic with Charlene to monitor her. They had a couple of concerns when it came to her blood pressure, oxygen level, and heartbeat, especially with her heart. They were seeing some arrhythmia, so they wanted her to be monitored 24 hours, like till I go out of the hospital. So we were in the newborn station. I had a roommate there as well. She was like, I was so blessed with her. She was such a good mama with her tiny baby, and they were having some problems as well, but the nurses were so good to me, you guys. I am thankful for every second I spent in there, for every single nurse I met in there. I'm so grateful to God. They were such a big help, because C-section, you guys, not easy. You are dealing with a ton of pain and you can't really move. Really, it is what it is. I have to tell it, but you get enough painkillers if that makes the things easier for you. So I was in the newborn station with Charlene. Charlene was attached to the monitor with, I think, 5-6 wires, and I wasn't allowed to leave that area unless she was getting her diapers changed, which was done by the nurses, because obviously I could not move at all or get up or do something. So the nurses were doing all this diaper changing. They were checking on her temperature, they were checking on her sugar level, and the monitor was showing her heartbeat, oxygen level, blood pressure, and heart rate. So they saw the first night that her heart rate was not okay. She was having some adoption problem, but it went away on the second day. The second day, I think they told me that her hips are not completely formed, which I can agree with. We still have to go to a physiotherapist and get another ultrasound, and they will tell us what we are going to do about that. But she was tiny, so I could, and she came a little bit early, so I could imagine that she had not fully formed hips. The third day, they had concern about her kidneys because she didn't pee during the night, which I did not see. Of course, the nurses saw that her diaper was clean during the night, So we went to an ultrasound. They made an ultrasound on her bladder and kidneys. Everything came clear, like she had no problem. Fourth day, it was like she has an oxygen problem. She is not getting enough oxygen because the monitor kept alarming. But thanks God I was up during the whole night, so I could see that the monitor alarmed only when she was kicking, or she was like holding her breath to make her diapers full, like, or when she was screaming really from hunger, she would hold her hand, and that were the moments when her monitor started alarming. Like, we had so many issues. Every single day they told me something is wrong. You can imagine my like mental health situation in that moment when you can't do anything and they're telling you your baby is not doing fine. But thanks God, on the 5th day when we were allowed to go home, everything looked perfect. They did the last checks on her. They gave her vitamin K, I think it's called like that in English. They gave her some sugar solution when she was just born, so she will have a little bit energy. And as for me, I will make a separate postpartum video for me and tell you how my recovery went, because it was like a challenging recovery, but I did really good and I am doing fine, thanks God. I feel perfectly fine and I'm just happy to have a healthy baby. Charlene is doing fine as well. She's just tiny baby. We have to still wrap her up as much as we can to help her to keep her body temperature. She cools down really quickly. That's what we did in the hospital as well. She had like 3 blankets and hundreds of things like a head and like so many things in her bed to keep her body temperature up, and that's what we do at home as well. And now let me bring Charlene to you and introduce you to her. She's now sleeping. I'm gonna check on her and you will see our baby girl. Look guys, who is here? My baby girl. Wait, look. My cutie pie. I know, I just woke her up. I'm such a bad mom. I'm a terrible mom. I'm the worst mom ever. She was sleeping so peacefully with Philip together and now I woke her up. She's so tired. Look how tiny she is. Look cute. Oh my child. My baby girl. He's the Charlene. This is our little Charlene. Oh my Charlene. I know, I'm the worst mom ever. I'm sorry, baby. I just wanted to show you everyone. Everyone was waiting for you. Oh, I hope she will go back to sleep, or she's gonna start screaming now, you guys. So I hope I didn't forget anything about my birth story. Oh, Shotzi. So I have to leave you now and go back to my mom life. I just had half an hour for myself to film this video for you. You guys, I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any kind of questions, let me know down below in the comment section. I probably forgot a lot of things to share with you, but in my next videos, if something comes up, I will update you on that. So now I have to go. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Have a wonderful day and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye. Bye. But they've all gone out the window of this car. And when I